In the news this week, cheaper than water, the state government's plan to increase alcohol beverage prices.
Plus, getting younger, why city council politics is no longer old man's game.
And on Western Perspective, paying it forward, the Asian influx into local government giving back to Australia.
This is the Evening News with Ivan Leung and Danielle Staniskov.
Good evening. The state government is considering plans to introduce a minimum price for alcoholic beverages to deter heavy drinkers from buying. Retailers who sell wine cheaper than water will be among the hit list. Politicians and experts have different views as to whether it will reduce alcohol-fueled violence. Kelly Mary Smith begins our coverage.
The idea to deter retailers from selling bargain price alcohol to heavy drinkers with a minimum price has been set in motion by Health Minister Roger Cook. But there is already opposition towards the plan, with some MPs labelling the idea as absurd.
Young people are drinking much less now than they have as they focus on things like fitness and healthy living. So to believe that this will have its intended effect is a bit of a stretch.
Right now, retailers such as Aldi have dramatically lowered the price of alcohol, with bottles of wine selling below $3. Proposed changes will impose new minimum price for retailers. But not all retailers believe it will have an impact.
Unfortunately, I think when you're selling alcohol that's cheaper than water, it has a pretty big effect on the community.
Experts say that introducing a minimum floor price for alcohol will affect the heaviest drinkers in our community. They hope this will discourage alcohol abuse.
The people who are most susceptible to this will be the heaviest drinkers in our community and the youngest drinkers in our community.
It is believed that this measure will help reduce alcohol-fueled violence and long-term health issues. Kelly Marie Smith, WAMN News.
With the local government elections campaign in full swing, councillors and mayoral candidates are doing everything they can to engage in the process. But this year, more and more young adults are putting their hand up to take part in the race. Nelson Liu reports on whether this trend will increase youth engagement in local politics.
City of Melville councillor Rebecca Aubrey is concerned young people aren't participating in local government elections.
I think that we're still struggling to get young people really wanting to be involved in government.
The young Deputy Mayor says WA's youth believe they won't be listened to despite voicing issues affecting them, resulting in fewer young voters.
I think the young people are concerned that even if they did voice their opinion, it would just not be heard.
She says that's not true and wants them to give their concerns a chance to be heard by voting.
We want to hear everyone's voices and represent them.
Local government councillors believe young people are more engaged with community issues that affect them than politics, but they say their opinions matter.
It's about understanding that your vote matters and it directly benefits you.
Experts believe young people are disengaged from voting because they don't believe it's important. But with elections soon, the presence of councillors representing youth interests, including Rebecca, Nicole Foxton and Matt Woodall, will encourage young voters.
That would instigate a lot of young people that probably weren't thinking of voting to start thinking, well, this council is now supporting the views of young people.
Nelson Liu, WAMN News.
There's been a push locally for the construction of the proposed outer harbour in Kwinana. It was one of the McGowan government's key promises in this year's state election, with the aim to take pressure off Fremantle Port, increase WA's freight capacity and create 35,000 local jobs. However, it's estimated that it could be up to 10 years before the first ships sail into the proposed outer harbour.
We're looking at the social impacts. You've got Rockingham that's got a 30% youth unemployment. That's just abhorrent in Australia to have that level of youth unemployment right there. So, you know, these jobs that could be created in this area is really, really necessary at this time.
Fresh information has come to light concerning the murder of Josh Waniki almost 7 years after the tragic event. Police homicide squad are chasing a lead concerning a white Toyota 79 Series Land Cruiser Tray Top Ute that was seen not far from where Mr Waniki's body was discovered in February 2010. It is believed to have driven along Short Street in Old Broome Road in the early hours of the morning on February 26th.
The driver of this vehicle or any occupant has never come forward. So we want any information that anyone may know. The state government has offered a $250,000 reward to help police get the right information to bring justice to this matter.
The annual report on WA state finances is out and the figures are not looking good. The report revealed a $2.5 billion operating deficit, despite the revenue grew by 1.8%. Salary expenditures are also up by 2%. The total state debt reached $32 billion mid this year. Treasurer Ben White blames the previous government for poor financial performance. He again urged the Liberal opposition to support the government's budget repair bill in Parliament.
I say to the Liberal Party, don't let the crossbench dominate what passes through the Parliament. Be part of the conversation, support the government achieve what we're seeking to achieve, a more sustainable balance sheet for the state.
North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has warned US President Donald Trump that he will pay dearly for his actions. For the first time in a direct address, Kim labelled Mr. Trump as a rouge gangster and a man unfit to hold office. His comments followed Mr. Trump's address in the United Nations earlier this week, with tensions in the region continues to rise as USA and Europe increase sanctions. Aung San Suu Kyi has broken a silence over the Rohingya crisis in Myanmar during a 30-minute national televised speech. Ms Suu Kyi vows to hold violators to account and resettle more than 400,000 refugees who fled the country. However, her speech did not propose any concrete solutions to the problem.
And finally this week, fierce wind and rain could not put a stop to the Blue and Gold Squad graduation ceremony at the WA Police Academy. 40 new officers put on a brave face in the rain as they marched at the first graduation ceremony for the new Police Commissioner Chris Dawson. It was also the first graduation to include equal numbers of men and women, with the ceremony featuring 100 years of women in policing.
It was obviously wet and a little stormy, but if that's the worst conditions that our graduates today will experience, they'll have a pretty good career. And I was really pleased to be able to officiate in my first graduation as Police Commissioner today, and we look forward to working with all the officers that have graduated.
And those are the top stories you need to know this week.
We have the latest news on our website and Facebook until 5:30 next Sunday. Good night.
Good night.